with Navit, and I am beyond excited today to be talking with our founder and CEO, Erin Papworth. Erin, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to me about what it's like to be a CEO and mother. To start, can you just talk a little bit about what that's like and your journey with that?
Yes, well, Parker, as always, it's lovely to be here with you. It's a really interesting and fulfilling thing to do, to be both a CEO and mother. There's always, of course, a push-pull on your time. You always wish you had more time. But I think for me, I have a son. So representing a woman as a leader, as a founder of a business, of navigating, fundraising and investors and kind of the business logic that he kind of by osmosis hears me dealing with and learning, like sees me leading. I feel like that is the biggest treasure I can give him, as like a core feminist that I am, to show him that women can be leaders and can be successful and can also be present and try and be as good a mother as possible while running a business. So yeah, I hope he's learning by osmosis that women are amazing.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think it actually in an odd way connects to my next question, which is like, what has it been like working in this past year out of a pandemic? Because we've seen so many women have to leave their jobs, and like they're calling it the she session. And so I was wondering if you could speak to working parenthood right now specifically.
Completely. Yeah, it's been something and a burden I've watched. Pre-COVID, I was advocating and very excited about the fact that women were 50% of the workforce, that we were starting to, have our own independent wealth. And it is very troubling that we have not in our society created an environment where children can thrive with a parent not working, or a parent working, like two parents working. And I worry, but at the same time, I think that there's a ton of opportunity. So more entrepreneurs, more startups and companies have been started in the last year than in the previous 2 years before COVID. I'm hoping that this creates an environment where women can redefine how they engage in work, and working from home is much more now acceptable, creating an environment, a flexible working environment, so you can be present for your children and also garner an income. I'm really hoping that innovation comes from this, because women are essential part of the workforce, and we are having to reinvent ourselves right now. And I do hope our society starts to kind of double down on what are our priorities. Childcare and education should be a priority, not only for the children, but for the mothers and the parents to be able to be highly functional labor and citizens of this country. So yeah, it's a really frustrating, but also really important moment in time where I think we're going to see the repercussions of what happens because of the last 18 months really hopefully make changes for our future.
Yeah, it's been cool to sit here and get to listen to you fit hope into the equation, because yes, people are talking about
yes,
session is just such an awful word.
It's awful.
And so that,
Yeah. I would say the only other thing I would say about that is we can't afford women not to work, right? Like women were 50% of the labor market before, that inflation is increasing the cost of living for people. So dual income households are really almost imperative to be middle income these days. So we don't have the luxury of women staying at home, right? Like we have to be able to integrate both childcare and women back into the labor market, because our economy can't sustain it otherwise. And our cost of living is just so high right now that it's inevitable women have to work in the long term. So yeah, I'm frustrated and hopeful, because I have to function with some hope or I will just be angry all the time.
Good. My last question for you is, where does financial well-being fit into all of this, right? Like at Navit, we talked a lot about holistically, it's not just who you are as a mom or who you are as a CEO or who you are at work or managing your finances. It's all of it. So I was wondering if you could speak to that.
It's for me personally, or just kind of in general?
In general, if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. We have done such a good job, I think, in the last 10 to 15 years, maybe even longer, of integrating this wellness culture into our society. Yoga, that has to be 20 years, right? My college years, yoga, meditation started to be a thing, prioritizing or showing the positive effects of exercise. thinking about nutrition and food and how to eat organic. I mean, I live in this is not true around the world, but I live in, and not all in our country either, but I live on the West Coast of America, where vegan and organic foods are I mean, vegetarian, whatever, keto, whatever you want, you can get in terms of healthcare. I lived in New Orleans where that was not true, so that's not true across the country. But it's just health and wellness have become a priority and a huge industry in this country in the last 15, 20 years. I think health and wellness has forgotten that to really to be free of incredible chronic stress and to access a lot of the things that make a healthy lifestyle, you need money. Money is a key element to reduce your stress, so you're not constantly worried about, am I going to be able to make my bills? Will I have enough money this month? Like that chronic stress leads to incredible physical negative outcomes, medical problems, and overall just like a negative environment and lifestyle, right? So the stress is reduced. And then of course you can afford to maybe take time off to have a wellness day or afford your yoga classes or whatever it may be. And I think the health industry really needs to start talking about what is financial wellness and how do you think about money as you think about a holistic health approach. On the flip side, the financial industry has completely kind of forgotten that there's this psychological and health component to finances, right? There's a personal approach to finances. Financial industry focuses all on the products, right? Like here's a debt vehicle, here's your student loans, which are all essential, of course, checking accounts, right? But there has to be a blend. And I think for us, that's where our innovation comes. We're saying, hey, there's a mental health component to finances. What's your money story? What's your history with money? How do you approach it? How do you like risk? What kind of personality do you have? And then what is your actual financial picture? What's your income? Do you have all these kind of financial vehicles that you need? And how do you marry those two together to make the right decisions for you? So for me, it's the core of a healthy lifestyle, and integrating it into the conversation is the next kind of phase of holistic health.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Erin, it's been so good to talk to you about these things. And I know it's really complicated, but it seems like you have a good grasp on it. And it's awesome to be able to learn from it. So thank you.
Thank you, Parker. It's a pleasure.